Shri Gauranga Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura BhaktiVinode Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna Jayo Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan. We're reading from the final chapter, chapter 40 of the Jaiva Dharma, the final conclusion, Sampatti. Part 1 dealt with the subject matter of Shravan and Varanadas. The question from Vijay Kumar was that what are the various stages of bhakti until one reaches Sampatti, or the final perfection. So he says there are 5 stages, and the first 2 we covered. Shravan means to hear. Hearing actually ultimately is meant to awaken our faith in Krishna. And the Goswami said when a jiva develops faith in topics of Krishna, it should be said that he has removed the state of aversion to the Lord. In other words, it is understood that the conditioned soul within this world has an aversion to the service of the Lord. That's why he's bound by karmic ties within this realm. But he frees himself from the karmic ties by developing a mentality of service to God. So that means removing that state of aversion in which one wants to progress in the awakening of his love for the Lord. The next stage is called Varana, and that is the stage of service, awakening a desire to love the Lord requires then we do something about that. And that is, under the guidance of a spiritual master, we take up the process of service to the Lord, cultivating the mentality also that the guru or the spiritual master is a representative of Srimati Radharani, or a representative of the gopis of Braj, engaging us directly, not indirectly, but directly in the service of the Lord. So now, Vijay Kumar says, what is smarana? What is smarana das? And Goswami says, remembering, according to Rupa Goswami, he's quoting, remembering Vrindavan form of Krishna. Smarana means to remember. So while one chants or hears, one should also remember. It's easy to do that with the deity form of Krishna, in his threefold bending form, playing flute, peacock feather, and like that. That is Vrindavan Krishna. Remembering Vrindavan Krishna, or the form of Krishna within Vrindavan, along with his dear associates, who have inclinations for service similar to one's own. When one awakens one's love for Krishna, one naturally awakens one's desire to serve Krishna, and one finds an appeal in a particular way of serving Krishna, either as a cowherd boy or a gopi or like that. So we worship Krishna along with Radharani because the highest principle of loving devotion is seen there in the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So following in the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we desire to serve Krishna in the mood of Vrindavan, but specifically in the mood of the gopis of Braj. So following the inhabitants of Braj, one should perform service with one's physical body, but also in one's mentally conceived spiritual form. It's called a Sutta Deha, in accordance with one's particular bhav, or heart's emotion. The discriminating practitioners should accept all the angas, all the parts of Vaidhi Bhakti. In other words, externally he should continue hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, and all of that. There are basically 9 stages of Vaidhi Bhakti. But internally he should cultivate a mentality of service to the divine couple within Braj. That is called Raganuga Bhakti. So Goswami says, before explaining these verses, Vijay Kumar asks, what does it mean to always live in Braj? one may not be able to live there physically, but mentally one should learn how to live within the concept of service to Krishna within Braj. So Goswami says, according to Jiva Goswami, one should live in Braj, Vrindavan, because this is the place of Krishna's pastimes. Best is if one can live there physically and visit all the different holy places and remember Krishna's Leelas as one visits this place and that place, goes to the Jamuna, goes to the Radhakund, goes to the Govardhan, remembering all the Leelas that take place there. But if one cannot physically live there, one should live there within one's mind. One can do this by hearing regularly of these pastimes of the Lord also. That way, the mind is always fixed on Krishna within Vrindavan. Even by living there in the mind, one attains the same result as physically living there. Following a Saki, that is, identifying oneself when one of the maidservants of Radha and Krishna, fixing oneself in that Saki's bower, living in that place, he remembers Krishna and the Saki of one's Bab, who represents the mood that he wants to emulate. In his physical body, a sadhaka or a practitioner should perform hearing and chanting. One should never give up hearing and chanting about the Lord. So he should perform hearing and chanting along with all the other angas of Vaidhi Bhakti. He should perform his appointed service at the request of the Saki and meditate on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in a gopi body according to the bhav obtained from his guru. According to the rules, he should maintain his body and he should nourish his internal cultivation by regularly hearing and stimulating that bhav within his heart. Acting in this way, he will give up the taste for anything other than Braj Seva. That's what we desire to acquire. That Braj Seva, that mood of service to Krishna within the holy place of Braj. Vijay Kumar then says, could you please clarify the method? Okay, Goswami says, living in Braj means one should live in a solitary place with a spiritual bhav, a particular mood within the heart. And one should serve the pastimes of 8 parts of the day while chanting the Lord's name, counting his rounds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All actions for maintaining the body should not be unfavorable to his devotion. He should maintain his body, but in a sattvic way. And he should do everything that is favorable for the cultivation of his service. Deeply reflecting, Vijay Kumar says, oh Prabhu, I've understood this, but how to make the mind steady? Goswami says the mind becomes steady at the time of obtaining Raganuga Bhakti, since when the mind becomes turned towards Braj, even a little, it no longer moves towards material objects and its material attachments. The mind has to find its place. And when there is love, the mind will gravitate to that object of love, always thinking of one's love and what to do. That is natural. We reflect on even like teenage love. A boy is thinking of the girl, he wants to bring her flowers, he wants to do things, because his mind is always absorbed in that. He sees something, reminds him of that, sees a piece of jewelry, he wants to buy it for her, like that. So that is a reflection of Braj Bhakti. Because the devotee has a natural love for the Lord, he sees everything in relation with the Lord. Then the mind is steady. So the element of love is what makes the mind steady, and therefore is called Raga Nuga Bhakti. It's when there is an actual rag or fixation on the object of one's love. Otherwise, one is still working on the level of sadhana bhakti, trying to remove the unwanted things within the mind, those things which clutter the mind, those things which distract the mind, all these things gradually are moved away when one is fixed in his rag, attachment to the Lord. Therefore, it no longer moves towards material objects and its material attachments. If there is worry of disturbance, then take support of the gradual process. Don't hurry it. Take to the process of gradual devotion. Allow that to naturally awaken within our heart. One cannot rush it, otherwise one will definitely fall down. So one should practice steadiness in devotion, rising in the morning, chanting one's rounds, doing the things which, according to the Vaidhi process, purifies the heart, while cultivating one's devotion to the Lord by serving the deity, hearing about Krishna, and like that. So what is the gradual process where one will no longer find such disturbance? Goswami says one should chant the name in a solitary place every day. Even if it's only for a short period of time, should try to awaken a feeling for the Lord, or even pray during one's chanting to nurture that feeling of devotion to Krishna. Avoiding all material distractions. In other words, best to cut oneself off from all material distractions. That's why it says a solitary place, not where one's chanting, but one's mind is also moving here and there, watching people and doing this and doing that. It's a solitary place means where one can actually focus deeply on Krishna Nam, while praying deeply to Krishna, for the awakening of one's natural bhav. Gradually, one can increase the period of time, increase the amount of one's chanting. Finally, an astonishing bhav arises, and it will follow him at all times, in all places. It's there within the heart. He can't avoid it. There is then no longer any fear of disturbance. Oh, Vijay Kumar asks, how long should one do this? Until the mind is devoid of disturbance, or is beyond disturbance. You have to do it until the mind is fixed on the object of your love. Please elucidate how to remember the name with bhav. Goswami says, first chant the name with joy in the heart. First thing is that you recognize that the name of God is joyful, and you feel happy when you chant his name, Hare Krishna, chanting on your beads, thinking of Krishna, think of his beautiful form, think of some of his features, his pastimes, anything connected with Krishna. Combine the possessiveness with some intimacy. That, I love thinking of Krishna as he performed the rasa dance, or Krishna wandering along the banks of the Jamuna. Whatever brings about some joy to the heart while chanting. Think about those things. That is called smarna, or remembering. Bhav is an imposition only. Awakening of bhav will come, but first of all, chant the holy name with joy and try to reflect on some of the joyful things that you find about Krishna. How he tilts his head, how he holds his flute, how he dances with the gopis. Remember those things, chanting the holy name. And then gradually a bhav, or a mood of devotion, will manifest within the heart and mature like a flower maturing into prem, or natural love for God. This is the order of the worshipper for attaining steadiness in his devotion. In this matter, there is also steadiness concerning the object of worship. Vijay Kumar says, what is the order for developing steadiness in regard to the object of worship? Goswami says, if one desires to attain unrestricted prem, then one should respect the instructions of Raghunath Das Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the Goswamis orders to write in particular subject matters. And Raghunath Das Goswami, who is a resident of Radhakund, is fully absorbed in the thoughts of Radha and Krishna and teaches us through his writings how to achieve that. Raghunath Das Goswami writes, if you desire to live in Braj with Rag, and if you desire to serve directly that Parakiya couple, Radha and Krishna, birth after birth, then follow and remember the instructions of the followers of Sri Chaitanya, Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and their associates with strong affection. Thinking of these gurus also in their eternal Sakhi forms. Oh, please listen, O mind. The meaning is that you should practice with the Swakiya Ras in mind. You will obtain, then, the ultimate result. The bhav will be restricted in serving the couple. Worship with the identity of pure Parakiya, according to the ideas of Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. That's why it's important to study all these books, because they give us the methods by which we attain spiritual perfection. Even at the time of imposing ras or practice of sadhana, you should take support of the Parakiya Bhav, that is the mood of Radha and Krishna, in their desire to meet one another, and the thinking of the longing of each other for the other, thinking about what it requires to meet all the obstacles and how to get around them. This is all part of their lila and awakens within us that natural love for Krishna following the mood of Parakiya. In this way, Parakiya Ras arises. That alone is the eternal Ras and the apricot pastimes in Braj. Vijay Kumar says, what is the order for manifesting these pastimes of 8 parts of the day? And Goswami says, please understand what Rupa Goswami has said about his detailed description of all types of rasa in the pastimes of 8 parts of the day. Because it is bottomless, its depth and boundless in width, it is not completely understood. But one should, by standing on the shore, one prays, I have merely touched the ocean of this Madhurya Ras. It is so deep and wide, who can actually understand it? But standing on the shore, that is hearing the instructions of the Goswamis and like that, standing on the shore of this bhav, I will certainly come to know something of it. The pastimes of Krishna are completely spiritual. Thus they are without bottom, without a shore, without bottom. Atala means the materialist cannot pierce the material world and enter into that pure spiritual tattva. In other words, it is a difficult place to enter, but it is possible through the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. It has no shore, cannot be crossed, because spiritual rasa is so variegated and all-pervading that it cannot be completely comprehended. Even if a person attains a spiritual bhav or mood, being situated in a perfected tattva, and tries to describe it, it becomes contaminated by words. Therefore, its description will not ever remain completely pure and complete. There's always the tinge of matter because we're living in the material world. Even if the Lord himself describes it, the description will be faulty because the hearer and the reciter of the words have material faults. That being the case, standing on the shore of this dangerous ocean, the author says, I will reveal a drop, only a drop. But by the taste of that drop, you will come to know something. Vijay Kumar says, Oh Prabhu, how then is it possible that I can attain this spiritual ras? And Goswami says, Madhurya ras is beyond all breadth and depth, and it is difficult to comprehend. Krishna's pastimes are the same, But our Krishna has two unlimited qualities. Those are our hope. It is difficult. It is beyond all mental conception, beyond breadth and depth, difficult to comprehend. But Krishna has two unlimited qualities, and these give us hope. Krishna is endowed with all Shaktis and has his own desires. He can easily bring into the limited material world what is beyond depth and breadth, and beyond comprehension. Though the material world is most insignificant, he desires to bring that most attractive bhav into this world. In other words, it is by the mercy of the Lord that we come to know something about him. Only by his mercy. One cannot know God by mental speculation. One will come with a Buddhist idea or atheistic idea or some kind of only energy idea, that God is only energy. But to understand God as he is, or Krishna as he is only by his mercy. And he desires that we know him. He desires to bring that most attractive bhav into this world. Thus the eternal spiritual pastimes filled with Madhurya Ras have appeared in the material world by his mercy. We know that Krishna came to this world along with his Dham. His Dham is still there to some degree. We can still go and say, this is Govardhan. We can still go and say, this is Radhakund, Shamakund. We can still go and say, this is Jamuna. We can still go and see those things to some degree. Because Krishna manifested that place within this world, and he performed many leelas. And those leelas were then written down and formed various types of books. And of course, the most important to start with is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And through the Srimad Bhagavatam, we come to gradually understanding the nature of the Lord up to the highest level, 10th canto. We understand Krishna of Braj, Krishna of Vrindavan. So that is important. We study systematically like this. Cannot jump quickly to the highest goal. One will not understand, one will misunderstand, that's for sure. So gradually, starting with the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's why Srila Prabhupada gave us these things. He gave us an opportunity to visit Vrindavan by creating the Krishna Balaram temple. He gave us the opportunity to hear about Krishna's Leelas by giving us the Srimad Bhagavatam. He also did the same with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave us Mayapur, and he gave us Chaitanya Charitamrita to know the mood of devotion as is described within our Sampradaya. So one can visit those places. They are most important places. So Prabhupada arranged for our spiritual perfection by opening up the Krishna Balaram Mandir and the Mayapur Chandra Mandir, and giving us those books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, to study and understand the nature of this bhav. Because a little drop goes a long way. So these things are most important. So these are our hopes. Krishna is endowed with all Shaktis. And through his own desire, we come to know him. And he does this also through his devotees. Just like through Srila Prabhupada, giving us these opportunities. So, though the material world is most insignificant, he desires to bring the most attractive bhav into this world. Thus, the eternal spiritual pastimes filled with Madhurya Ras have appeared within this world by his mercy alone. The spiritual abode of Vrindavan has come into the material world. One cannot ask how it has come, how it remains, since limited intelligence of humans or even the devatas cannot understand the actions of the Lord's achintya, inconceivable Shakti. It is all by the mercy of the Lord. How he does, we don't know, but he does. The pastimes of Braj are the manifested condition of the highest pastimes beyond the material world. We have received them. Therefore, there is nothing to lament. We have been given the process by which we can achieve the highest spiritual perfection. Vijay Kumar says, if the Prakat pastimes are one with the Aprakat pastimes, still what are the stages of advancement? We'll stop at this point and pick this up in our next reading. Prakat means that which is seen, that which Krishna revealed to us by manifesting his earthly pastimes, and those which remain unseen, Aprakat. Prakat is the manifested pastimes that appeared within the earth, but there are still those which are unknown, Aprakat, or not manifested. We may hear something of them, but that is by the mercy of the Lord also. So we'll begin here next time we pick up the reading. Jai Gaur Premanandi Haribol. Jai Shri Radhe Shyam.